I don't know what you've seen so far. I understand that you are traveling from one side to another.
We've been to Hazor, we've been to Megiddo, Beit Shemesh.
Minor sites. No, I mean it. You know, there is Hazor and then there are all other sites. And I'm sure that you don't believe me, but I'll prove it to you in 2 or 3 minutes, I hope. And if you don't believe me, first of all, look at the size. It's 800 dunams, 200 acres, with a population of about 15,000 people to 20,000. It's 10 times the size of Jerusalem. Enough? The size? Okay. Size is important. If you look at the text, look at the Bible. Yavin, king of Hazor, is the king of Canaan, who dwelt at Hazor. Okay, it's like Obama, king of America, who dwells in Washington. Okay, that's where he lives, but he is the king of Canaan. And once Hazor fell to the Israelites, he says that Hazor was the head of all those kingdoms. Right? If you don't trust me, if you don't trust size, maybe you'll trust the Bible. Then if you look at finds, I don't know if you've been to the Israel Museum.
Some here.
Okay, look at the finds that come from Hazor, unlike any other site. And this is the only site in the country which corresponded, I don't know if you are familiar with the name, Mari, the big center on the Euphrates. The only site in this country which corresponded for over 20 years with Mari is Hazor. We haven't found the archive yet. Actually, there should be 2 archives here. We haven't found, but we have already more documents than any other site in the country. And one of the most recent finds, which was made here 2 years ago, is also the first in the Levant. It's a code of law. Unfortunately, it is not complete. It's a small piece, but we have 6 or 7 laws which deal with the relationship between a master and a slave, which correspond very, very closely to the laws of Hammurabi. On the other hand, correspond very closely with those that we have in the Old Testament. So, do we believe me by now that there is Hazor in all other sites? I hope you do. Now, as I told you, Professor, we need at least a day, which you don't have and which I don't have. So if we just look at what's happening here, and then you'll continue your tour. I understand that it will go throughout the site. So let's just archaeological sites, I don't need to tell you, are just one layer on top of the other. And if you want to go deeper or earlier, you have to remove what is on top. So actually, excavating is destroying. We try to destroy with method what we keep afterwards. Once the building is gone, we have photos, we have plans, we have a description, we have the daily log and so on and so forth, but now it is virtual, it's gone. Sometimes we think the building is so important that we want to keep it, so we move it. If possible, we move it. Several buildings which you'll see over there have been moved because they sat on top of the palace over there. So the palace was important, but so were those buildings. So we just moved them. So sometimes it's really a decision-making process. Do we want to keep the building? Can we destroy it? And so on and so forth. Why am I telling you all this? Because what you're looking at here, you still see a few pillars. Those pillars are all what remains of 2 huge storage facilities. There was a lot of storage going on at Hazor because it was a center for all the cities and villages all around, and everything was brought here and it was redistributed from here. So one of those we moved and you visit it over there. And so you'll get the idea what they look like. They are kind of a basilica type. They are square or rectangular with two lines of pillars. So the central roof was higher than the roofs on both sides, and this is how you could get light and air into the building. So now there were two such buildings here. One we already removed, and you'll see the pillars lying over there. One we are about to remove tomorrow morning, so if you come day after tomorrow you won't see it anymore. And when the day comes, we may restore them about 100 yards further west from here. But these buildings are of the period of glory of Hazor, of Israelite Hazor. That is the 9th century, okay? The days of King Ahab, whom the Bible does not like, but we like very, very much, because he was a great builder. And he built all over the country, and he has magnificent architecture. So here we are looking at a building of the 9th century. Now the 10th century, which you see the gate over there, I'll say a word about it also later, and I'm sure you will speak about it, is of the 10th century. So you understand that we are outside of the 10th century city. 10th century city is only the western half. So here we don't have 10th century. Here we immediately below the 9th century, no, we have the 8th century, which you don't see anymore. Then you have the 9th century, remnants of which you still see. Underneath, it is the Bronze Age city, the Canaanite city. Canaanite city, we are now sitting on top of it. If you look at the mud brick over there, you see the walls, burnt mud brick. The city was destroyed in a terrible fire, which we love very much. As you know, archaeology benefits from the disasters and the misfortunes of the ancients. And it's very, very important for us, this city, because this is two issues that you're looking at. One, which have both been, how should we say it, in the center of dispute for many, many years, is who destroyed Hazor, because Hazor was the main city to be destroyed. Who destroyed? Do we go with the Bible? Was it Joshua or was it not Joshua? You know, there's a huge debate here. So we want this city very, very much. Now we have touched it in several other places. We have another chance to fall into the city. We're sitting on top of the destruction. You can still see some of the ashes over there. And so we are sitting on top of the destruction of the Canaanite city. So our first aim this season, get rid of the Israelite city. Get rid of the earliest Israelite city, which is the 9th century. And then we are immediately sitting on the 13th century. And I hope that when you come by the end of the season or next year, you should be further down into this building, which is a major, major, major building. With, I hope, major finds. So this is what we are doing. The season you just came, it's the first day of the season. So this is what is happening here and what we hope will happen. And on the other side, you'll go through it, is the Solomonic Gate. I know I'm not allowed to say this since you have already been to Megiddo, but it is Solomonic. They don't know what they're talking about. And, well, it is 10th century. It is 10th century. Now you tell me who was around, who could have done it in the 10th century, right? Like who could have destroyed the city in the 13th century? Who? Who was around? Who could have done it? The Philistines could have done it, but there's not one Philistine sherd among the millions of sherds. The Egyptians could have done it. The Egyptians were never here in the 13th century. The Hittites couldn't have done it. People from outer space couldn't have done it. So who? Who? If not the Proto-Israelites or Israelites or whatever you'd like to call them. We don't have proof because we don't have an inscription. Maybe one day we shall have, I don't believe. But if you go by just common sense. But, as you know, it's controversial.
Could you mention the basalt paving in the podium down below?
Wow, yeah. Have you seen it? Ah, yeah. Phew.
Oh, maybe I shouldn't have asked.
No, it's there's no question that it is of cultic significance. What you were looking at was the joint between the lower city and the upper city. The upper city was where all the upper classes were the king, where everything were the main temples, which you will see later on. Everything was here, and the people, and the common people, lived down there. But there must be a way for them to come down from the lower city to the upper city. I don't know if you have seen it exactly, but the gate is there. And this podium, which is of basalt, which has 4 depressions to hold a chair or a throne, on top of which sat either the king or a statue of a deity. And we have a lot of artistic representations in Ugarit, for example, in other places, of this kind of high place or bama or platform or podium, whatever you'd like to call it, with an arrangement for a throne and a representative, a king or a deity or something, to sit on. And we found also a lot of cultic objects around it. We found some special kind of vessels and so on and so forth. There's no question that the cult was practiced there. And as you have seen probably when you were standing over there, cult was always practiced at city gates. When you move from one sphere to another, cult. And if you look, for example, at the reform of King Josiah, he destroyed.
What is it? Oh, it's just a snake.
What happened?
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Kelsey! Oh my gosh!
He doesn't like him either.
Ryan! אל תאבדו אותו, תראו אותו יורד. Get it to Ria.
Oh, that happens to me too.
And only Fritz tell me.
I didn't even know it was there.
Look who's the furthest away.
This is more important than any other.
That's true.
I hope that this is not the only thing you remember from your Okay. So, in any reform, and you remember the one done by King Josiah, he destroyed the cult places which were at the city gate. So, this is what we are talking about. Well, if you have visited Tel Dan, we shall visit it later on, you'll see another very, very similar installation at the gate of Tel Dan. Only that one is about 700-800 years later than this one here. That's it. Good luck. Enjoy.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We have a nice spring nearby.
Can we get a couple people? We want to do a tool chain real quick. Let's bring down some proper tools. We're going to start dropping.